how's it going? Today I'm talking about training for the Disney Marathon when you have knee problems. This is Running to the Castle, a podcast for injury-prone Run Disney runners on a journey to running magical miles. Join me, Dr. Allie, as I share the secrets I've gathered as a runner, doctor of physical therapy, and coach. You'll learn the exact ways I get my clients to the castle strong without feeling broken or held together with KT tape as they cross the finish line. Okay, so you want to train for the Disney Marathon. And just to be clear, the marathon is 26.2 miles and Disney offers it once a year. It's at Walt Disney World over Marathon Weekend, and that's in January. If you're training for the Disney Marathon and you have a history of knee problems, you really want to do it right. You don't want that knee to flare up. You don't want to risk having to pull out or seeing those balloon ladies. So I'm going to dive into exactly how to train for this Disney Marathon when you have knee problems so you can feel ready and cross the finish line. Okay, so first off, let's talk about the timeline. So your timeline for your Disney Marathon, since it's in January, you want to start training 7, 8, maybe even 9 months in advance. And this all depends on how far you're able to run before official training starts. So if you're brand new, have never run before, you're starting from 0. So the closer to 0 miles you can run right now, the longer your training plan is going to be. If you can already run at least a 5K without pain, without problems, then your training will be closer to 7 months. The training plans I write start at a 5K, and so training for the Disney Marathon with the training plans I write are start the week of July 14th. So that's the first thing. Figure out or acknowledge how far you can run. If you've never run before, you're literally starting at 0, and that's fine. You need to be honest with yourself on where you are realistically starting from. If you haven't run for a couple of months, you also should start at 0. The reason being is if you haven't run for a while, if you start out at, let's say, a 5K, maybe that is typically an easy distance for you, but if you haven't done it in 2 months, you need to start further back closer to 0, because even if you follow the 10% rule after starting out at a 5K, you have already started too high, too far for what your knee can take if you have knee problems. Now, don't get me wrong. If you don't have pain, injury, no knee problems, no injuries, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking specifically to people who have run before and had knee problems, knee injuries, knee pains, or have never run before but have knee problems, knee injuries, and knee pains. Okay, so if you're listening to this and you don't have those conditions, this might not be the right podcast for you. I invite you to continue listening, but this advice may not be appropriate because this is the type of person I work with. I work with somebody who has knee problems. So that's where my expertise lies. Knee problems, injuries. I'm a physical therapist first, and then I got into the running coaching aspect. So my mind, my training plans, my workouts, things like that come from the physical therapy background first. Okay, so if you start off too far, if you run a 5K, if you start the training plan with the 5K, and you haven't run that in 2 months or more, then it's too much. Even if you follow the 10% rule after that, you've started off by overfilling your cup, and it's going to overflow quickly. Okay, so you need to start closer to 0. So I would recommend starting with my 0 to 5K training program. That one it's fairly long. It's about 14 weeks, I believe. And sorry, if you ever listen to my podcast and I say I don't know exactly how long it is, I have made so many custom training plans that sometimes I just forget the exact number of weeks that each individual training program is. So I will give a rough estimate so that I just don't tell a fib. It is roughly 14 weeks, give or take 2 weeks. Maybe it's 12 weeks, maybe it's 16. It's close to that. Anyway, so your timeline, let's just say you have consistently been running. You didn't take too much time off after Springtime Surprise or Princess last year, whichever was your last race for runDisney. And now you're ready to train for the marathon. So you're starting at the 5K distance. So you're starting in July. You're going to want to have 3 to 4 solid runs every week. If this is your first marathon, start off with 3 runs. You don't want to go too much too soon because that can lead to injury. 80% of running injuries are caused by overtraining, doing too much too soon, or doing something too fast too soon, or not recovering enough. Those 3 reasons lend themselves to overtraining injuries. And I don't want you to fall into that category. I want you to be able to keep running. So if you've never run a marathon distance before, start with 3 runs a week. You have your long run and then 2 shorter speed or pace workouts. Okay? So you have your long run. I typically make that Sunday, mainly because runDisney's marathon race will be a Sunday. So this just sets you up for success for how you're training. Your body's getting used to the Sunday long run so that you're ready for it on race day. But really, it doesn't matter which day of the week as long as you stay relatively consistent. Don't make your long run be Monday one week and then make it be Thursday the next week and then switch back to Monday, because that second and third week, those long runs are too close together. So you want to keep your long run about 7 days apart every week, give or take a little bit of time. If you keep it 6 days apart, you have to move things around a little bit, that's fine, but you don't want to come a couple of weeks later and now your 2 long runs are very close together. So you have your 1 long run. The goal of your long run is time on your feet. I would rather hear my clients say that they walked their long run because they just didn't have the energy to run it, or they just wanted to walk it, as opposed to them saying, I PR my long run every week. No, that is a recipe for disaster. The long run's goal is time on your feet. It's getting your body used to being out on the road for the amount of time that you're going to be running the marathon. Now you build up to that time over weeks and weeks and months and months. The other 2 runs during the week, those are 30 to 45 minutes, and they're speed or pace workouts, meaning you're either trying to get faster and faster on those workouts, work on your speed, or you're trying to maintain a certain pace. So some speed workouts that I like are, especially for runDisney runners who do run walk intervals, 30, 20, 10. That's 30 seconds of jogging, 20 seconds of running, 10 seconds of sprinting. Or if you're doing it on a treadmill, you can do a progression run where every 30 seconds to a minute, you run 10% faster, 0.1 mile per hour faster. And you do that for the designated length of time. You could also do a tempo run where you're holding a specific pace that you and your coach have chosen. And that pace is somewhere between your long run pace, so faster than your long run pace, but slower than race pace. You can also do super short runs and try and hold your race pace. I usually recommend that be about a mile of your workout. Jeff Galloway calls that the magic mile. It helps predict what your race pace is. It helps you see how you feel during this particular pace, holding this particular pace. You can also do hill workouts, really help you for those ramps, those on and off ramps that we all love so much at runDisney. It's a fact of doing runDisney. You're going to be running on the highway, so you go up and down those ramps. Doing hill workouts helps make it so that you feel good on those ramps. And I believe that is all of them off the top of my head. And so you do those shorter. So when you do your long run nice and slow, you save your energy so that you can do your shorter speed workouts nice and fast. You want to use both types of training, both types of run in your training for two completely different goals. Training for time on your feet is the long run, and improving your pace so that you don't ever say hi to the balloon ladies on the course. That's what your speed and pace workouts, the shorter workouts. You want to do those shorter so that you can really work on those muscle fibers that are used for speed. And then over time, you'll be able to incorporate those into long runs, into different parts of your workouts, use it in different parts of the Disney Marathon, but not necessarily the whole thing. So we have two different goals for those workouts. So that's 3 of your days. Then you should also be doing cross training. Now, cross training, please do not confuse this with strength training. Strength training is important, but it is not cross training for running a marathon. Cross training is another type of activity that builds your cardiovascular endurance that is not running. So that could be swimming, riding a bike outside, spin class, your Peloton, rowing, walking, paced speed walking, things like that. Those are things to build your cardiovascular endurance. So the ability of your heart and your lungs to work just as hard as they would work as if you were running without the repetitive stress on your joints and your muscles. Okay, so they build endurance. And when you're training for a marathon, you want 1 to 2 of those. So in the beginning, when you're doing 3 runs a week, if you're new to running a marathon, you're going to do 2 cross training days. Once you switch to 4 running days a week, you'll drop down to 1 cross training day a week. Then you also want to do strength workouts. You want 2 to 3 strength workouts, ideally a total of 60 to 90 minutes a week. So, but we'll take what we can get. Some is better than none. So if you can only fit 20 minutes of strength workout in, great. Do 20 minutes. If you can do it twice a week, great. If you can get that third day a week, great. And just do as much as you can. Strength workouts build strength and power. Your body's ability to push you forward, your body's ability to support your joints so that you can prevent injury. I recommend strength training be on the days that you run or cross train. And when you're in training mode, you run or cross train first, and then you do your strength workout. That's typically what I recommend. There is an occasion when I work with a client one-on-one that I will reverse that, but that is very specific to their case. So in general, I recommend doing your run or your cross training first, and then your strength workout when you're in training mode. If you're in the off season, that's not the case, and I actually reverse it. But we're talking in training season now. And then your last days of the week, you're going to have 2 rest days a week. These rest days are complete rest days, okay? So nothing that's overly exerting your body. We're not doing strength workouts. We're not doing cardio workouts that make you breathe heavy. Go ahead and go for some leisurely walks. Go and float in the pool. Let your muscles and your joints relax. Go get a massage. Go do some extra stretching. By all means, do those things that will keep you loose, but nothing overly exerting yourself. Your body when you are injury prone or have a history of having injuries like knee problems, your body needs those rest days. Okay, so that's how you build your training plan. And your training plan incorporates the things that add stress to your body. So that's your running, your cross training, your strength workouts. And I just listed out exactly how to form your training plan with those different workouts. Stay tuned for another podcast episode where I'm going to talk about recovery techniques and offloading the pressure that you've just put on your body during that training week. As always, thanks so much for listening. That's all for now. Talk to you soon.